If you don't think there's hope for the world, why bother going on?
You haven't seen the world, so you don't know. You keep going for family.
I'm not family.
No? You're cargo.
Why are you so important?
Somewhere out west, they're working on a cure. I think what really impressed them was the fact that I didn't turn into a monster.
If she so much as twitches, don't.
Okay.
If I'm taking you with me, you do what I say when I say it. You got any advice on the best way west?
Yeah, go east. If you come this far, then you know what's out there.
You're not gonna scare us.
Scared him?
You have a greater purpose than any of us could have ever imagined.
Be careful who you put your faith in.
It might not be her father, but you were someone's.
You trust me?
Hi, TFC listeners. Welcome to another episode of The Faithful Critic. My name is Dorina.
And I'm Ashley.
My name is Steve.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about a show that is based off a game called The Last of Us. The show evolves from a pandemic that happens in 2003 and it fast forwards to 2023. And it's very, very grounded. And the time I watched it, it really took me back to 2020 and the COVID pandemic. So I'm going to start with that before we go to the plot. What was your experience of COVID and how was 2020 for you? Was it anxiety inducing? Was it just whatever? How was it for you?
I was actually looking at, the way Google brings up like photos like 5 years ago. Do you know it was actually 5 years ago on a random Friday? I think we had gone for phony camp when the first case was recorded.
In the country?
Yeah, in the country. So it's crazy to think about it was like a whole 5 years ago. And honestly, I feel like I don't remember much. Like I remember in my head, but then I don't remember like the anxiety or the emotions of it. Yeah. But okay, maybe Steve, you can go as I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, same experience. So we were coming from a camp for sure. And so I think the whole thing about the first case being announced in our country was when we were heading to camp.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be cancelled. So when we came back, things had already taken shape or restrictions in any.
You guys weren't locked out of, was that like a concern that you'd be locked out of Nairobi?
No, you see, we'd never known that there was something like that before.
I don't think so. Hawakuwa wamefika to that extent at that point.
Oh, okay.
Because there was like maybe one case, alafu sijui there was someone. You remember the lady, even when she got healed, she was brought on the TV. She was brought to the news. Yeah.
No, it felt, honestly, to some extent, at first, we were like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So we were just kind of waiting to see how things would. Like, I didn't feel anxious to that extent. And honestly, it felt surreal, some of the numbers. And also I was like waiting to track, how many people are dying? Is it that bad? Should it be that worried? But...
Yeah, actually, they used to bring like every day, say MOH used to
announce.
Updates, yeah. Actually, that was slightly
Mutahi
scary.
Kagwe.
Yeah.
But he handled it, in my opinion, I think he handled it well because I think in the hands of someone different, it would have gone worse. It would have been more chaotic in terms of how to just keep people calm.
Yeah, I think that information was necessary.
Yeah.
We maybe might have felt like it was over over the
No,
top.
it was necessary.
But it was necessary
It
because
was
in times like
necessary.
those,
Yeah, but I think
he said it. We were in like
yeah, but I think he got to a point.
Unprecedented time.
he didn't use unprecedented. It was a funny term he used. But anyway, when you're not comments.
No, but didn't it get to like a point where it's like 100,000 cases or like how many cases, and it's kind of like ridiculous at this point that we're still counting. Like you kind of resign as well.
Yeah, I think, but even if we resigned to the fate, I think still that knowledge was important to just know that the country is actually keeping track. Because if it wasn't, they would, like, for example, I think I remember how Tanzania was where their president was a COVID denier. Is that even a thing? Their former president at the time was denying, and there were so many like rumors spreading of how many people are dying, how people are not getting medicine, how, like, just I think to avoid all that,
Such chaos.
I think it was important for them to
Having a
announce.
central line of communication. I think
Whether they
that
were
was the
lying
whole
to us
strategy.
or not.
Oh yeah, but it could be lie, but yeah, at least it was some information, so there wasn't too much
Yeah,
speculation.
there's a stand-up comic who was saying that if he lies to his son almost every day for like small things, what do you think about the government to its people? Of course they lie to us. So, but we may not know. For me, I was in campus, I was in my 6th year, and we were just preparing for a final marking. And our final markings are usually very important because if you like fail that, sometimes you either redo that entire project or you do that year, depending on like, your marks for the other units. So we were all tired, and the uninformed Dorina at the time was waiting for like that announcement because we were following news internationally and we could hear that other places have been locked down. So I was waiting for us to be locked down because
You were tired.
I was tired and I needed the break. I was tired. So when we were locked down, all the markings were cancelled, all the exams were cancelled. We were all like, this will be 1 week tops.
Oh yeah.
This will be 1 week tops.
Yeah.
Shock on us.
Because we'd never seen something like that in our lifetimes. Yeah.
Curfews, yo. Curfews.
Shock on us.
Was it like 7
Yeah, it was
PM
7
at
PM
first?
It was
At
7
some point.
PM at past, People like in traffic, stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
Just
Was even a time they blocked off like Thika Road or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane.
Crazy
Wild.
times.
When
Crazy
it
times.
continued. Yeah. And I think I got anxiety because when I was listening to like CNN report people dying in US and people dying in Italy, and I think
Italy was really hard hit.
Yeah, it was Italy. And even in the UK. And I was like, okay, so if these guys are being affected like this and they have like structures somehow, what about us? We can't like cancel public transport. We can't cancel all these places where people just organically meet in Kenya as a need, not as like it's a need. People have to go somewhere with all that. And it was especially public transport that was bothering me. And then to me, I honestly feel like God just protected the country. We didn't have as many deaths.
It wasn't as bad
as the Western
could have
nations. Okay, so now with that very anxiety-inducing reminder, we go back to to our show where they're also hit with a similar pandemic, but it has been caused by fungi. Fungi, yes. And the thing about fungi compared to a viral or even a bacterial infection is, according to the show, and I think scientists can also share with us, they claim that it can't really be treated. They can't really find a cure, or they can't really find a way of preventing that from happening. So in our story, it spreads, and as in 2003, it spreads from unga, from flour. So it spreads as people eat the flour, but they don't know at the time. But then it continues and continues and continues. And as it continues, because the fungi is working towards preserving itself and ensuring that its colony grows and grows. If you've seen mushrooms, I think you can understand what we mean. So it grows and grows. And so it infects one person and goes to the next person and the next person. And they become the infected. I'd like you to Google how they look like. I don't want to describe. Let's Google The Last of Us, The Infected. But urudi, please. Usipote urudi. Yeah, so we meet Joel and his daughter Sarah on the first day of the infection, which is like the, like our Friday.
The March.
Yes.
Random Friday in March.
So on the first day, they tried to run away from the cul-de-sac where they were living, as they tried to protect themselves. Also with Joel's brother called Tommy, they tried to run away and save themselves, but there's nowhere to run. And then Sarah gets hurt, and so as Joel is trying to carry her to at least some place of safety, they meet a military officer who is given, even if Joel and Sarah are not infected, he is given an instruction to shoot and kill. And he shoots at them, and Sarah dies. And so Joel lives with that heaviness of the death and that stress of the death of his daughter as we fast forward the story 20 years later, where he's just surviving. He's tired. He's dejected. Everything. He's a smuggler. In the context of the show, people are kind of like, ogopeni umse ako na mambo bad. So as he's living his life trying to, kind of just survive through whatever is left of,
the world.
Yeah, of the world. He's given cargo by the name of Ellie, which is our second character. Ellie is thrown onto him by fireflies, who are a revolt group of people who are trying to at least find some modicum of peace amongst the military state that has been enabled, or trying to at least defect from the military state.
The freedom fighters, basically, the Mau Mau.
Yes. Yes. So she's given to them, and he's told, hey, transport this chick from here to I think their test center. I can't remember. I think it's in Wyoming, their test center. At first, he's refusing to do it, but eventually he agrees, because he also has to, he eventually has to get out to look for his brother, but he agrees to ferry Ellie throughout, basically half across US to Wyoming. And the reason why is because Ellie is immune to the cordyceps, to the fungi. And so as they do that journey from Boston to Wyoming, they meet several different communities and groups of people who have tried to survive throughout the chaos that is the world that has remained after 20 years of a global pandemic. So we meet people at a different quarantine zone. We meet, there are two old friends who passed away. We meet a group of Christians, quote unquote. We meet.
That was a cult, man. I'm sorry.
That's why I put it in.
We shall not associate ourselves.
In quotes. Again, we also meet a flourishing community somewhere in the deep ice states of US. A flourishing community that have been able to build themselves something that they can call a home through a communal government.
It was communism.
They were communists.
Yes.
They were communists.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And from there, we also meet bandits and so many people. And in the end, we finally do get, Ellie and Joel do finally get to the doctor, or the place where Ellie was supposed to be taken, because that's the only kind of hospital and also doctor who is kind of working at this point. And so when they're there, the only option that is on the table, according to the Fireflies, is that Ellie has to be killed so that they can extract whatever is happening in her brain so that then they can use it to create a preventative measure for everyone. But Joel is having none of it. And he goes on a rampage, kills everyone just to protect Ellie. And he does so, and he leaves. That's how the plot goes. Ends at a very sour note. So, initial thoughts?
Well, I was waiting to see who we're going to turn to at this point this time. Anyway, that was well done. I think you've broken down the entire plot.
Thank you. Hey, nilikuwa nimerehearse.
Yeah, but that's the show. I honestly I think I was drawn to it at first purely because of the concept of the apocalypse and that infection, pandemic spreading, that concept and everything, infecting humans all over. So I was kind of like, hey, it's very panicky. Let's see what the situation, this chaos breeds. So, I was intrigued, to say the least. Yeah, but hey, that's how it ended.
You were not expecting
I was not expecting it to end in that way. But
yeah, okay. I don't want to open a can of worms, but then how did you think that Ellie was going to be preserved? Because she's the cure to all this.
I think, okay, in my mind, I was like, you can do small experiments.
Yeah.
Like gradual. They can extract one part of just, like the way they do. I can't remember the medical term, but like a biopsy, I'm guessing, where you just take a small chunk of her brain and then they test it and then but just killing her from the word go.
Like
she's
the last
kill her from the word
option
go.
of survival.
It wasn't that she's preserved. Like, what if they don't get anything? Like, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly why it's a bit difficult. And when we get there, we'll discuss it as to if Joel's final decision was warranted, because we'll discuss it when we get there. So just
so initial thoughts.
But let me just like slide in there and say, personally, I think that was too drastic. At least look for a way in which she can be preserved. Yes, like how sure were they that ending the life of this person was going to help them get a cure?
Yeah, usual quote: ending the life.
Children watching.
Okay. So initial thoughts. It was an interesting show. Honestly, I wouldn't have watched it if it wasn't for us doing the review. So it was a bit out of my comfort zone. Although, which is odd because I actually have watched other, like, I don't want to call it, I know you don't want to call it zombie, but zombie films. Like, I've watched like The Walking Dead, or the one we were talking about, we watched in high school, which was really, really scary. World War Z. Also, this one is quite scary because, like, okay, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but like the fungi kind of can communicate. So if, let's say, you step on some bit of fungi, and it's not just like growing in the people, it's growing in the trees, in everything.
Yes, it spreads.
Yeah, so if you step on it, then there's a way, if they're interconnected, they can alert the others so that they come for you. They know exactly where you are. What? That's crazy. So that's even more scary than The Walking Dead. At least The Walking Dead, they were just there. But like, so it was kind of out of my comfort zone. I thought it was an interesting show because it kind of takes you through the life of the guys who survive, what happens to them.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's an interesting concept. The ending was quite shocking, although I kind of saw it coming, because honestly, I thought even if, okay, I didn't think that they were going to like off her like immediately, but I thought it would get like progressively worse up to the point that he'd have to do something, or she'd die or something. So I thought it was going to get progressively worse. So that's why I'm like, I wasn't too surprised that happened. And along the way, I really liked how Ellie and mnaita ni Joel, mnaitwa Joel. So the way like Ellie and Joel, I loved the interaction, how they kind of grew into each other, and how like he was there for her, she was there for him, and they had like such a fun relationship. The jokes,
the book of puns.
They had like a book of puns. The puns were so funny.
So funny.
It was nice to see them grow, although like there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens
And
in between. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see how community disintegrates or is like evolves rather. Like there's different colonies of humans and all have different characteristics, you know, based off how they have chosen to survive post the pandemic.
And oftentimes
or where they find
because
their
they need a
home.
new civilization, so they have to define what that civilization is.
Looks
They have
like,
a new set of norms and rules that govern whatever. So it's very interesting to observe those communities and kind of course, people who don't go according to the norm and can't be integrated into such communities. Even the whole communism, the communist one was quite interesting because they actually mentioned that the only reason that it was functioning as well as it was is because it was a small community.
Oh yeah.
Like if you expand that model,
it won't work.
Doesn't work.
It won't work.
Yeah.
It won't work.
Oh yeah, and also it's interesting how like in zombie movies, it's kind of like you're not even what you should be more afraid of is not even the zombies, it's the people.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, exactly. And that's actually what drew me into the show the first time I watched it, because it was, I think, released like 2023. So it was just right off. We were closer to
2020.
to the pandemic.
Honestly, I
more
don't think
than
by
now.
2023 you would have said 2020 was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It felt it was like,
Yeah, it was like yesterday. Yeah, so that's what drew me, because I was like, okay, with all the anxiety that people had, especially in the US, because they had Trump and COVID at the same time. So there was a lot of news about what is happening and the chaos that's happening in their country. So with all that combined, and then the show has that premise where at a time when the pandemic is happening, or at a time when there's a huge disease that's happening, it's not even the disease that you should be afraid of. It's the people. I was like, such an interesting concept on how human beings behave when they are pushed to a corner.
Okay, let's just go back to what was happening in 2020. You remember how guys were buying?
Yeah.
In bulk.
Yeah.
They were clearing out stores and putting those supplies in their own homes at the expense of those who can't afford to buy in bulk. So like it just self-preservation kicks in so fast.
Yeah.
People are like, mi najishughulikia maisha yangu, watu wangu, nyinyi wengine go survive if you can wherever.
Yeah, and
we have our bankers, you just go.
Yeah, and we have a character who does exactly that and survives for like 15 years.
Thrives
thriving. Man was eating gourmet food bana. Hey.
Oh yeah, true. How was he able to catch that man? A survivalist indeed. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that's what drew me to the show initially, because I was like, okay, so now what would people do? And we really get to see what people will do.
Yeah, human nature, when you're driven to now your basic survival instinct.
Yes. We can do, people will do anything. Now, coming to my next question. So is morality still valued, or should we still count it as a need, as a basic need, when people are driven to that extent? Because now a lot of the questions and a lot of the choices the humans make is based off of
death is at hand.
Yes.
Impending sense of I could go at any minute. Ni either nipatwe na hiyo ugonjwa ama some human here who is like deranged now because they were affected by this pandemic one way or another, use their weapons and end me. So I honestly don't know. I think it's important. I wonder whether at the base level you gravitate towards morality, and whether I am very curious to know. I cannot say with certainty that you gravitate towards morality.
No, we don't.
That's not your usual inclination.
Yeah. But I wonder whether it plays a role.
It does.
It must play a role, because even in establishing those communities, I think there has to be a sense in which people who are like-minded will gravitate to each other and try to kind of still.
Not necessarily.
No, because we still need our value systems to align.
But by that point, you're not looking at value systems. You're just looking to survive with whatever band of people you find.
Well, that's true. Okay,
you can't survive with any band of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you won't survive. You'll become those people. You'll become the majority.
I see.
Even if, whether out of ignorance, like the community we saw, the cult one, out of ignorance, but you'll become that.
Or even out of need for leadership, like now the other guys who killed all the Fedra agents.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
just became
Yeah.
their own small little nation. I felt so sad for them when they all died.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
well, then
that
I'm
was
glad
crazy.
this is all theoretical and clearly we're never going to have a pandemic that affects humans in terms
God
of
is looking
zombies.
at you like, you think?
I mean,
You think-
come on, guys. This is theoretical.
Zombies. I know. Zombies are a US manufactured. No.
Do you know what would be really
'Cause they
funny?
only attack
If like we're
them.
recording
Yeah.
this podcast and then like all of a sudden one breaking news.
Oh my
Director
God.
pale wambi, which guys Twitter is flaring. Kuna pandemic imebreak.
Wait, what?
Funga milango.
I'll give up. I'll just give up.
You know, I have a theory, which I don't know if I share. Let me just share it. I usually have a theory. If a pandemic happens, I think I can survive. I won't thrive. I'll survive for like, let me say 3 months or 2 months.
Why? So kidogo hivyo.
20 years. Hey, see. But this is what I usually think I would do on the first night. Like if it's this drastic, yeah. And it's not like a disease that you can actually protect them yourselves, curable, like that, this infected drastic is you can, like, I usually think you can hide in an abandoned building. And if you're by yourself, and then especially since they kind of find people through their warmth and through noise, if you're by yourself, you can hide for like a really long time because you technically can't survive without food. So you can hide until, the coast is
Until you're
somehow
very
clear.
hungry.
Yes.
I don't see that as a way to live, honestly. Me, I'd give
How
up.
long?
Honestly, I think I'd just give myself to the zombies. It's okay. It's not that deep.
Self-preservation will kick in.
I probably didn't kick in, yeah. But then, like, always,
Genuinely
I
give
think
yourself.
the life that you live in constant fear, actually,
yeah.
my biggest thing is, that's why I'm kind of afraid of, like, flying or ships or something. I'm not afraid of the dying bit. I'm afraid of the moment before you die. Like, I can imagine, like, when the plane maybe is crashing, like, that moment
Or
when
that
you know
knowledge.
yeah, as in, I think that's the most scary thing for me.
Well,
And I
living
feel like
with
now
that-
living like that is living like that constantly. So
okay.
that's like one of my biggest fears. So yeah. But anyways, to your question, actually, I was thinking about it. Like, do we see anywhere in the Bible where there's like a group of people who knew that death was at hand, and how did they live? Look at the early church. Those guys were being persecuted, but they were like
They were living with a sense of impending
Yeah.
doom. Like ukipatikana, umeenda.
Yeah. But they didn't cower them. They were preaching the gospel. They were going with
So that is a very
Yeah.
clear example of where morality took. And it's not even morality.
it's
I wouldn't
not
say
morality.
it's
It's
not
not
morality.
morality.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's different. It's not morality. It's something stronger than morality.
And I think
Yeah.
that's
'Cause morality
essentially
disintegrates.
what we need in,
Yeah.
in those times.
You only
when-
need Christ.
Wait, sorry, you had not finished your point.
Like morality will disintegrate. Like it reminds me of the Pilgrim's Progress book, and how the whole menu of morality. Is it the town of morality? I don't even know.
yeah.
But there's
The
like
hill that was
it's an upward. Like it's so steep. Like for you to maintain morality, you have to
and legality.
exactly morality and legality and all that. It's a very steep climb. It's too difficult. It's impossible actually. And so I think that's why even when we're kind of theoretically talking about this right now, if morality is what you're standing strong
Yeah.
on, at that
yeah.
instance, your base instincts will kick in, survival, and you will become that selfish, self-preserving individual that and morality will be discarded like uko weenda, I need to survive.
And basically everyone in the show works with that. There's none who does anything that is to aid in the next human being. Because even I'm sure by the time the guys who had the commune were coming together, I'm sure wakalisha chini watu uuliza na umetoka wapi? Na umetoka wapi? Watakwambia, oh, I offed like a couple of people so that they can get here and survive. It's not that easy. So now when we go to now the final choice that Joel makes as he refuses to allow them to operate on Ellie, what do you guys think about that final choice?
It's a age-old utilitarian question.
What's utilitarian?
No, is it utilitarian? Is it? Am I actually? Is it
Ah,
right? Yes,
come
you used it
on.
right. Is it right?
You
Okay.
used it
Don't
right.
gaslight us. Tell us the meaning.
Gaslighting. No, but like, would you the train, if you there's like a switch to turn like the train from like, maybe there's like njia panda, nafu is, if there's a switch to turn the train to
Like
go over one person
of
or a
five
group of people, which one would you choose? So it's that age-old question.
Wait, let me
Yes.
distract you a bit.
Do you
There's
save one life? Do you save
The
every
many-
other person's life?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reel of a child who the dad does that with his toy train and like the dolls for the daughter. And then what that kid does is he takes the one person, puts it amongst the five, and then just goes and rails all the six.
Oh my
People. You can continue.
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, that's not nice.
Yeah.
The Joker somewhere in the West growing up.
Hey, I know.
Hey.
Yeah, that's scary. But anyways, hey, it's a very hard one because, like, yeah, it was going to be inhumane what they were going to do to Ellie, but at the end of the day, if it worked, it was going to save everyone. Okay, so are you saying if there's like 100% possibility of it working, it's okay?
Well, now that you've put that there,
sorry.
umetuweka on the spot, umegeuza hiyo si swali, hiyo siyo swali, hiyo ni yako yani.
No, also the fact that there was
Paper
no. So,
substitute paper.
Amejiongezea
Ameleta
pesa yake.
substitute paper.
so now that there was a chance that it wouldn't work, then that makes it not okay. But then if it was going to work for sure, then it's okay.
If it's going to work for sure, then I think first of all convince us it's going to work, and convince us that you have looked for every possible alternative that could have preserved the life of this person. Because me, I'm thinking from the perspective of this individual who lost their daughter, Joel. Joel lost his daughter at the very onset of this pandemic, which kind of made him, it changed his life dramatically. That's a very strong traumatic event. And then to get to a place where he's almost got a daughter back, quotes in quotes, through Ellie.
Yeah.
And then to lose her again.
And has grieved.
Already grieved.
Yeah.
Whatever grief process he went through. And then finds Ellie, goes through this journey with her, saves her life multiple times. It is imprinted in him that he really cares about this person, as he would for his own daughter. There's those parallels being drawn. And then he gets to this ultimate point where he's going to make that decision. I'm Joel. I'm Malizi. You know what? The world is what it is. God for us all. It's either you give me back my daughter, I will take her back. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, when you build it like that, yeah. It's that one is I guess the drive of, I don't know if I should call that love or
Love.
And then
it's
also
love.
it could actually be like a dude thing as well, like the male instinct to protect.
Yeah. Huh.
Who knows?
Could be, but I think even if it was a lady and she was like an actual good arms lady, she would have done the same thing. Because mothers and their children,
Yep.
it's just as intense.
Okay, fair enough. But imagine a situation where there's Ellie and then this mother has other children and actual biological children. Who would she choose?
It's still a difficult choice.
It's still a difficult choice.
It's a very
especially,
difficult choice.
Okay, I think because that instinct to nurture is still there for women. So, because, when I was a kid, as an example, I used to be afraid of chicken. Because
Wait, sorry. What?
And the reason why is because when we were young, one time in Ushago, I took a cheek of a hen.
And then it
And I
came
was
after
attacked.
you. Came for you.
Actually, that's not even an irrational fear. That was so rational. That was rational.
That was rational. I'm not
That was
being-
a rational
Let's
fear.
validate
Yeah.
that. Let's validate her fears. It was rational.
That is
But why did you not know the consequences that would follow?
They're cute. They're yellow. You're a child.
Okay, I see.
You're precarious. So yeah, so I think with that instinct being baked in for a lot of animals slash humans, they will attack.
It's primal. We care about each other to that degree.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, because the most dangerous like animal is like a mother guarding her child. Yeah.
Yes. Even when we were talking about bears, I remembered that if you meet a cub of any, like if you meet a cub, just leave. Achana tunayo. The mother is around na atakukujia. Regardless of whether you're not harming the child or anything, you'll just seem like a threat. And if you meet a cub, achana tunayo and just leave. You'll be mauled. With the commune that Tommy is in, it reminded me of the times when the remnants, I guess, in the Bible, where God would even when you guys were talking about like people living in impending doom, they're the ones I remember. The Israelites were always warned, mtakujiwa mkiendelea kubehave hivi nilituma Babylonians ni mkujiwe, mtakujiwa, and they'll be like sawa tu, or like just like feign off those warnings until wakakujiwa, and they lived in exile for a really long time. And so did you see them? Do you have any ways, or can you remember any ways in which you saw them try to thrive during those times of exile that can be paralleled to I know I'm putting this on you, we had not discussed it.
Hata tulikuwa na leakage Japan tu, lakini this one anyways, can I see parallels in which they try to survive
during those times of exile
try to, and okay, so this would be either in what was the Persian? So this is after the Persians came, the Assyrians, and they were in captivity in Babylon. Well, maybe Esther's story.
Oh yeah, true.
Esther's story is one that kind of like really draws us into what was happening in this in this life, Esther being one beautiful lady, was able to, of course, become the bride and the queen in this.
What is the name of the king in that story?
Xerxes. King Xerxes. And so I think that's a depiction of them. You kind of normalized to live in that situation
and like work towards the promises that God had given them.
How comes Esther is the first person that came to mind? Because the first person is like Daniel.
You and me, I had Daniel in mind.
No, I thought of Daniel, but then I went to Esther.
But also Daniel is like in the beginning of exile.
Very, very start. And I think they're a unique case because it only centers on, doesn't only, but mainly centers on Daniel and the three friends. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and what was happening in Persia, Middle Persia, all that whole kingdom. So it doesn't necessarily take us to the Israelites generally. At least kwa Esther, you see. And also I think Nehemiah is also another. Nehemiah is also another example.
I love Nehemiah and Ezra because now it's at the end of the exile and you can see now these people are exhausted with living amongst the Babylonians. They're like, hey, we want to go home now. And them going back and rebuilding the temple. Yeah, I loved that. Actually, those were my favorite books when we were in high school, when we were doing...
Really?
Yeah, because it felt so hopeful.
Wow. I feel like Nehemiah was where I lost the plot. When we go to Amos Nehemiah, I lost it. Nili actually looks gospel. Yeah.
How is your favorite story not David?
We did David.
We didn't do David. Did you do Siri in high school?
I don't know. I didn't do Siri in high school.
You
didn't do David?
I don't think we did David.
So.
Oh, okay.
Did we do David?
Mwenye ametoka shule juzi.
Ama kufanya Siri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those ones are also in my mind, Nehemiah and Ezra. Going back, building the temple, reminding them that I know some of you have roots, some of you have built.
Sanballat. They're trying to sabotage.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're trying to sabotage Nehemiah.
Nakumbuka.
Yo, imetoka mbali. Repressed memories.
Yeah, the naysayers, the haters.
So yeah, God is able to preserve a remnant. And of course, it's not exactly the same way as these ones. But over and above, we see the times when God pushes or judges humans in the Bible when they've sinned. He always has the people whom he's preserved. Even in Noah, the ark. Yeah, when Noah was preserved and his family, and so that they can rebuild. Yeah, he always leaves that preservation. And I think that's also basically like Christians in this day and age right now with everything that is happening.
Do you know what? Sorry, I'm taking us really back. I'm taking us back to the conversation we were having on one to save the many. In a way, that's kind of like federal headship for us.
Oh, in what way?
Because like Adam was like our representative, or Christ represents.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the sins of all of us are placed on
Yes,
Christ.
to preserve the life of one. God was like, my only child.
My only child. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. For not
A contrast.
Yeah, it's a very interesting contrast. And okay, not for greater good, it's
for the
only
greatest
good. It's for the only good and the greatest good, absolutely. And so
there's actually a verse, I think it's John 12. What greater love is there than this?
Oh yeah, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13.
Yes.
Oh, and also so Christ, again being second person of the Trinity, he did exercise will as well, his own will. His will was aligned to the Father.
Oh yeah.
But he had, I don't know whether there was a decision to make, but when we see his prayer in the garden, and he was like, "Hey, take this cup of suffering, like let it pass, but not my will, but yours be done." So in essence,
he was a lamb, but also he accepted.
He accepted to go through what he had to go through. So I think there was samati where alipelekwa as a lamb to the slaughter without consent, but he absolutely consented to the will of the Father.
Yeah, I think that's also one of the things that people sometimes do challenge Christianity on. Wow, that was actually deep. I didn't know we would go there when I threw that tangential question on you guys. Thank you so much for responding so well. So on recommendability, would you recommend this show to people?
Wacha tu kama umewatch Walking Dead, I think unaweza watch. But honestly, I don't know whether it's a show that you can recommend. One of the things that I really didn't like about the show is, can I just say, there were agendas.
Yeah, there were agendas.
I didn't like them. They were kind of on the nose.
And trying to normalize. Yeah.
Also, some pretty gore scenes and, situations and, some things that are kind of just like, scary. So you don't want to, maybe you don't want to subject yourself to that if you're not, you don't have them.
Yeah. I know, in as much as we've reviewed, this isn't going to be for most people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's good to know it's not for you. At least it told you. Yeah. It's probably.
And also, we are hoping the YouTube algorithm does its thing, because the season 2 is coming out next month in April. So we are trying to catch that. Such.
Yeah. Okay. But it's not really a show I'd recommend, honestly. Yeah.
I hope they just watch this, because I think we've really done well to scat around the plot and talk basically just about like some insights we have deduced
from the show.
The show.
I think with the same with you. If you enjoy thrillers, if you enjoy those zombie adjacent shows, you'll love it. If you're interested in just humans making being pushed to the corner and seeing how we behave, like just those character choices.
Like me.
Yeah, if you're interested in such also, you can watch it. But yeah, if you are more happy-go-lucky, it's not your show. It's not.
Yeah. Maybe Paddington is more your show.
Yes.
Go watch Paddington.
Go watch Paddington
Well,
instead.
Yes.
Yes, I think this is going to be our shortest episode yet. But thank you so much for joining us. See you guys next time.
Bye.